The billable hour was on life support, and the plug just got pulled. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire, where we help ambitious law firm owners expand their businesses, maximize their profits, and grow their wealth. Are you tired of tracking every minute and chasing your clients for unpaid bills? The traditional billable hour may be killing your productivity, client satisfaction, and even your growth potential. Imagine a model where clients pay predictably and your firm operates efficiently. That's where subscription based law practices come in. Today, we're joined by Matthew Kerbus, the subscription attorney. Matthew is leading the charge for law firms to adopt a subscription based pricing model. And he's here to explain why it's time to say goodbye to the billable hour and how your firm can benefit. All right, Matthew. Well, let's kind of jump into this topic here and tell us why you think the billable hour is dead. And is it still relevant for modern law firms, or has it become a relic of the past?
I mean, the billable hour has been on life support for at least a decade. It's just that when Gen AI hit the scene, the life support got unplugged, and
Oh,
so
okay.
now the billable hour's slowly dying now that it's off life support, and that's to say that before Gen AI, for a long time, not billing your time was more profitable. It was going to be more profitable way to make money, because why would you put an artificial cap on the revenue that you could generate, let
Mm,
alone put a limit on the types of markets that you can serve as an industry?
interesting. How does it limit the types of markets that you can serve?
Darren, do you pay anyone or anything by how much time it takes them or the thing to do the thing?
Nobody.
Right. Exactly. We are one of the only professions still around that charges time. And so most consumers expect a
Hmm.
known price when they go into something.
Yeah.
Even if that known price is, there can be like service order changes, right? Like
Mhm.
you're doing some work on your house and they discover all this mold. Well, in order for them to complete doing the work, they're going to now have to do mold remediation. So that's going to be an increased cost. But then they'll tell you, or you could quote out what it's going to cost to remediate the mold, and then get back to work, right? So in everything that a consumer engages in, and by the way, business owners are consumers in their own right in their personal lives as well. So if you're serving businesses or general counsels inside of businesses, if you're outside counsel as a lawyer, like they are still, as a person, consuming things on subscription and fixed fees. The
Mhm.
only, at least for our industry in particular, like only lawyers are charging billable hours. And that's it. And don't get me wrong, like it can be super profitable, right? Like that's why it's been around. That's why it's succeeded as a business model.
Yeah.
But then like looking holistically at the industry, you've got a lot of mental health problems. You've got a lot of substance abuse problems. You've got a problems at the big law firms in particular of retention of women and attorneys of color. And
Mm.
so like, I'm not a, I'm not, I don't have all the stats and the data to necessarily back that up right here at my fingertips, because that's not the business I'm in. I'm a practicing attorney who's a thought leader in the space. But I think the billable hour plays a significant, if not sometimes the only role in some of those problems with the profession.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting because we're trading our time literally for money. And the only way to earn more is to bill more time or raise your rates. And there's a cap on that, of course. So that's the other thing you mentioned, is that it limits your earning potential.
Right.
Yeah.
I can only bill and collect on maybe 8 hours a day if I'm a really good lawyer, right? Like if I have all my systems, all my processes figured out, I'm still going to have to work at
And
minimum 10 hours.
no one's billing 8 hours a day.
Billing and
let's be
collecting,
let's
like
be
billing.
real.
Yeah,
Right.
like when I was at a billable hour firm, the way that I used to handle it is I'd have a whiteboard. Like I'm so digital and I love tech. We were talking tech before we went live and recording. But like
Yeah.
I had a physical whiteboard in my office, and at the end of every day, I would put 10 billable hours for, and then the next date. And I would just estimate based upon my to-do list, here's something that's going to take this amount of time, this amount of time, that amount of time. And I would try to have 10 hours of billable time for the next day. So at least maybe I could get 10 hours of billable time done. But even if I couldn't, I could at least get 8. And that was the goal. It was billing 8 hours every day. Of course, realistically, collection wise, we collected, 4 to 6 of those hours because insurance companies would always, haggle on the bills.
Interesting stuff. So you've created an alternative solution. Tell us, what exactly is the subscription-based law practice, and how is it different?
Yeah, and something I get all the time with that is, well, doesn't that already exist? Isn't Legal Shield? Isn't that what that is? And here's the thing: like, Legal Shield could be a great alternative for folks who still want to save a little bit of money when they need legal services. But when I went solo, I tried to sign up with every place to potentially get clients, including Legal Shield. And you know what they told me? You can't join us because in order to join us, you need to give a reduced billable hour rate. Because that's one of the insurance benefits. It's Legal Shield's not a law firm. It's legal insurance. And one of the insurance benefits is a reduced billable hour rate to do legal work. Well, you know what? I'm sure every lawyer does before they sign up with Legal Shield. They increase their billable hour rate and then they're still getting paid what they want to get paid. So it's still billable hours, right? For like some of these alternative ways to get affordable legal, quote unquote, affordable legal services. When I set out to do this, I looked at what some other lawyers were doing in the space. And to be fair, there were many of them. And I've interviewed them all on my podcast at this point. If you're out there and you're hearing this and you're like, well, I've been using subscription for over a decade, find me, because then I'll put you in that, echelon of lawyers who have been doing this for a long time. And I really stand on their shoulders. But I decided that the way that they were doing things wasn't the way I wanted to do things still. And a lot of them were still targeting. Now, this is a lot less true these days, thanks to programs like Justice Entrepreneurs Project through the Chicago Bar Foundation. That's a law firm incubator program that helps lawyers launch sustainable lifestyle law firms that target these long unserved markets. So other attorneys, what they're doing is they are trying to figure out what's the highest amount that I could charge so that I could still be super profitable while still taking clients away from these institutional law firms and these institutional clients who don't want to pay the billable hour anymore, because they would still pay a premium to get higher quality legal services, which, by the way, if you're not billing by the hour, you're incentivized to adopt technology, create automations and more efficient, higher quality products, and your turnaround time is going to be a heck of a lot faster. And usually just when you get something faster, that's going to be more valuable for their client. And even if they're paying a premium, if they have pricing certainty, they will pay for that. So previous subscription-based law firms were taking that approach. They were targeting this red ocean of clients. Well, I decided that, and some of this goes back to my upbringing and volunteering in my community and giving back and realizing I'm very lucky and fortunate given my circumstance. I grew up very middle class, but still we never had any wants for anything, which I think I'm very lucky because of that. But most folks don't fall into that category. And I learned in the ABA, the American Bar Association, I've been a leader in that organization for over a decade, though I finally just got out, which is a huge relief. I could focus on my business more because I'm not getting clients through the ABA or referrals or anything. Well, I learned that there's this massive access to justice problem, but also my entrepreneur brain was like, ooh, market opportunity. I could actually do good, which most law students before they're out in the real world want to do good with their law license, and I can be super profitable. And so I just saw that incredible opportunity to adapt the subscription model to that market of long unserved latent legal market clients. And so that's why I specifically designed the model the way that I designed it, was to provide affordable access to legal advice and legal services to people and small business owners who never would hire an attorney unless they literally had no other choice.
Wow. Yeah. So you kind of opened up a whole new market there, and thought, by thinking differently, and making it more affordable to to consumers who might not otherwise ever approach an attorney for any kind of legal services. That's really, really cool. I love that.
And just another thing on that, because I know what lawyers think when they hear that. It is mile wide, inches deep law, meaning I practice in multiple different areas of law. But when your clients are paying you every month, even as low as $20 a month, they contact you before you know what hits the fan. And so I'm in the problem avoidance business. I'm not in the problem solving business. Sure, I could help clients solve their legal problems, but at my prices and with the subscription model, lawyers know law is the operating system of society. Law is happening right now in this podcast interview, Darren. We're creating intellectual property jointly and together, right? Like literally you cannot live in a society governed by laws and the law not be happening. So there is always an ongoing need for legal services. And if you're like a divorce attorney and you're thinking, well, then they get divorced and now that's it. No, they have to comply with the divorce decree. They have to comply with the marital settlement agreement. There are so many opportunities beyond just I see a nail, I'm a hammer. I was hired to hammer the nail. I'm going to hammer the nail. Well, you could come in to a project and you could see these loose boards and you could see all these other things and improvements and how to avoid the house from collapsing, the quote unquote legal house from collapsing. And when you're on an ongoing subscription with your client, every time they contact you or you reach out to them is an opportunity to identify more legal work that does help them. You just have to have a fee structure that makes sense. And $20 a month doesn't get them the whole kit and caboodle, right? I don't even know how old that phrase is. That's just the phrase that popped in my head. That was my own large language model at work, just predicting the next word. But like they have to, I have all my fees on my website. So like, what does $20 a month get you? Like with any other subscription, it gets you subscriber benefits. I mean, and I know because I've had you on my podcast, Darren, you define your subscriber benefits really well. So if your listeners are customers of yours or the potential customers of yours and they've looked at your content, they've seen how you define your subscription benefits. Mine's very similar, right? And what does $20 a month get you? Access to schedule 15-minute calls with me. It gets you access to $50 per page pricing for a la carte random stuff and below market flat fee rates for anything in which there is a market and there's a flat fee rate, like real estate transactions, for example, in Illinois. It's very common to do a fixed fee for that. Well, I charge anywhere from $200 to $300 less as a fixed fee for that transaction because I'm also helping these clients with all their other legal needs.
Right. I love it. And it's so creative. We've done the same thing in our business, and we talked about this. Because it makes sense from the customer's perspective, and you can bundle and you can get creative about the additional types of services and benefits that are included in those subscription packages, which is kind of what we've done. So we've added business planning and networking opportunities and things that are of great benefit to our specific clients who are law firm owners, but are not part of your traditional financial planning package. And what I really love about this subscription model is just the transparency of it all. And that, I think, is the key word for me. Just you know exactly what it is, you know exactly what you're getting, and it's not this smoke and mirrors. I don't know what the bill is going to be until the work's done, or it's hidden behind a bunch of things I got to look through. Yeah. So that's really powerful, I think.
Yeah, and look, one of my firm mottos is a transparent price for legal advice.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day,
that's really great.
That's and I had a subscription model expert, Mark Stiving, on my podcast. Great stuff. Impact Pricing is his brand, his website, his podcast, and one of his books. And he's always about we're selling the value, and context matters. And what we ultimately came to when he was on my show was my transparent pricing for the legal industry is a value that I'm selling.
Yeah.
Now, if more lawyers start showing their prices on their website, of course, if you put $500 an hour on your website, that doesn't actually tell your clients anything.
No.
But if you have fixed fee or subscription or combination thereof pricing on your website, then I'm not selling. Then the value of my model is not. I would have to change a transparent price from legal advice. And I already have some other slogans and stuff that I use that I'm playing around with when that inevitability hopefully comes. Because frankly, if and I do a lot of CLEs on this topic, if you're billing your time and you want to use AI or your clients are demanding that you use Gen AI, your time savings, like let's say things that used to take you 10 hours now take you 10 minutes. And that's being generous because it might take you a minute. But let's do simple math here for lawyers, right? Darren, math, and lawyers don't mix. you'd have to 50x your billable rate.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
This is so huge. Matthew, I have not really thought about this, but you're so right. I mean, AI is going to blow the lid off of the billable hour completely because, there's an incentive to not be efficient. And I guess the argument against would be, well, you don't want, sloppy or quick work, but AI is not that way. And lawyers who leverage AI are going to be able to get things done faster. Well, what do you do then? You bill less hours and make less revenue?
Fast turnaround is extremely valuable to clients. It's very valuable.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what's the value? Like, do they hire you because they want to pay you for units of time, or because they have a problem they want solved, or in my instance, a problem they want avoided? And like, estate planning lawyers have been selling problem avoidance forever. Insurance agents have been selling problem avoidance forever. Yeah, sure, it's a harder sell, but
Yeah.
there are well-tested strategies for selling problem avoidance. You just have to think about it in that context, and frankly, use storytelling. And this is something I've actually been working on, right? Is like telling a story of how somebody used my legal services and it helped them avoid a big expensive problem. Not just telling people, hey, hire me to help you avoid big expensive legal problems in the future. Like, tell a specific story about that, because that's how the insurance people do it, or estate planning people do it. Think about your kids. Right? Think about your kids. Do you want them to have to, figure out all this paperwork, pay these lawyers all this money, to do open a probate for not having a will or even a trust, if that makes sense for you, because you could still avoid most of probate with a trust, right? So but telling a specific story like that, that's the way that you do it. Insurance, your loved ones, if anything were to ever happen to you, life insurance, for example, right? Like, don't you want them to be okay? Don't you want them to not have to, take out a loan to pay for funeral expenses? You have to turn the story and turn it into a story, the pitch into a story of selling the problem avoidance.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thinking about how you sell it, there is going to be probably some education that needs to happen to the public about what this is and what this entails. So I can see where that might be a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, it might be a little bit easier because you're not competing in this like high demand space where it's like, oh, limited billboards and, someone needs me right now. I got to, pay for the keywords on Google that are super expensive. But if they're already clients of yours, they're going to come to you for those issues when they have them.
Yeah. One of my favorite phrases is, I like to say, would you rather spend money marketing or make money marketing? Because like that $20 a month, and that is a Matthew Kerbus original. I'll throw that one out there. That one I can claim ownership of. But when my clients are paying me $20 a month, who are they going to call first whenever there's anything remotely related to legal? Me. They're going to call me.
Yeah.
So and don't get me wrong, I still have to do biz dev stuff to bring in new clients. But for existing clients, the $20 a month, yes, I am giving them actual legal advice over those calls. So they are getting legitimate legal services for $20 a month. But it's also, I choose to perceive it as a marketing earn instead of a marketing spend. And I don't spend anything on marketing, in part because I the way that they calculate ROI for you, when you work with those providers, whether it's whatever sort of advertising or marketing, is how many billable hours you could bill, from those clients or something per month. And even what is a client worth to you? Well, if a client signs up with me at $20 a month and they don't actually hire me for anything else, they're worth $240 for that year. That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to spend, if you get me one client, a month, I can't, and I don't know that they're going to stay subscribed for the full year. The math just doesn't work out for how they choose to price their services to lawyers. So I just don't play that game, but I'm still bringing in clients through traditional biz dev type things and building that biz dev flywheel and all that.
Yeah. I imagine that strategic partners become a part of that marketing effort when you're running a subscription model.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's a great insight, right? Real estate agents and brokers are great relationships for me, because if they ever get a price sensitive client, who's buying a home, well, they know with me, they're going to save more money and still get excellent service. And I'm happy to not charge them what other lawyers are charging, because once they're a subscriber with me, yes, I'll help them for the real estate transaction, but now they could ask me about stuff happening in work. Maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they don't have a simple estate plan in order, right? And so like I could help them with so many other things beyond just that real estate transaction. And that is one of the areas where I do go mile deep, because I've been practicing real estate law for 10 years. And so like, it's one of the areas I feel comfortable going a mile deep in. And there's only a handful of those, but otherwise I also need, and you mentioned this earlier, like I'm not really competing with other lawyers. And once lawyers realize that, like I need a lot of good referral partners. Like I have I have a call with a client later this afternoon, and based on the information they already gave me, like this is a pretty serious employment issue that goes far beyond what I'm going to be able to help them resolve outside of filing a claim.
Sure.
Right. And so I know like 3 employment lawyers that are local, because still people, like, even though I'm a virtual law firm, 80% of my clients are pretty local to me. Like I'm about 40-ish minutes north of Chicago. And like I do have clients even that go south of Chicago into like Will County, but like other than like the counties around where I live, like that's where most of my clients are. But I do have some clients outside of those counties in Illinois. I have some clients even like in the UK who like to buy real estate in Illinois for whatever reason. I'm happy to help them with that. I mean, I know exactly what reasons, but you know, they find good investment opportunities, right? So anyway, like my point is I need referral partners to refer business to. And like I'm part of Overture. Like I'm their like Cook County area, Chicagoland affiliates or liaison or whatever they're calling me, like, because I've been on the platform for over a year. So I could always answer people's questions about Overture. But that is still growing, right? So I still have to like rely on other places to like refer. So I am actually a great referral partner for other lawyers too. The problem is my clients are usually hiring me because they're price sensitive. So like lawyers who only get paid if they win, like contingency, or they're suing an employer and like their statutory fees, like those tend to be good referral partners for me right now. The more and more attorneys who are out there like me, which is one of the reasons why I'm happy to come on your podcast, Darren, it just makes my life easier and keeps my clients happier for me to refer them to. So I still think there's room for highly specialized practices, like the riches and the niches and all that. It's just that there are also opportunities for lawyers like me who have a broad transactional subscription-based practice and then just refer cases to the specialists when things get complicated.
Yeah. Let's shift gears here just a little bit. And let's talk about the benefit or the relevance to the law firm owner specifically. You know, we talked about, you know, you can potentially earn more. Are there other financial benefits in terms of running a subscription model and how that can really change the way you run and operate a practice?
Absolutely. And I can't speak to a litigation-based subscription practice from personal experience and what the costs would be, though I have had some litigation-based subscription and fixed fee attorneys on my podcast, Law Subscribed. But when I got started, my first year, this doesn't include a little bit of like Google ad spend that I did, which I regret greatly. Because like you got to keep that train going if it's going to work for you, right? And I just didn't realize that at the time. I've consumed so much legal marketing content since then. But I spent $5,000, right? So all I really needed was a client paying me, you know, $500 a month, and I was in the black. You know, and I did, and I had that coming into it. So I knew that at least from the beginning, I wasn't going to have to go into personal savings to like we could float off of. I mean, that's not necessarily entirely true. Like I needed to make like a little more than 20K to like on top of that to like actually make sure we didn't go into our savings significantly, and we didn't. But that first year was really tough, and I've talked to a lot of attorneys who get started, and it seems pretty standard that it takes around 3 years to start bringing in more revenue than what you maybe were making at the last firm. And I found that also to be accurate, right? Like it's just like when you don't have a brand that exists before you launch the firm, it's hard to build up that brand and sell that brand and get clients and all that. So I did have a handful of clients coming in when I first launched, so that I was not I like all my firm expenses are all going to be paid for. And then it's just continuing to add on. And a lot of my clients from that first year are still subscribers. And because of I have recurring revenue. So going back to your question, right? Like I have recurring revenue. So I just have to keep clients happy and they'll stay subscribed. I have to keep providing value every month and they'll stay subscribed. And so because of that, now I could steadily grow. And that's one of the reasons why I don't need to take out a loan and get a billboard and do all these other things other law firm business owners do, and why it only cost me $5,000 the first year. And even now, I might cross $8,000 in operating expenses in year 3. I haven't fully completed my third year, right? So my expenses haven't gone up that much. I'm subscribed to better software now, because when I got started, I was subscribed to minimal amount of software. But my tech stack, which I include Slack, Discord, and Teams in that, is 43 tools, and I'm paying for half of them. So my tech stack is ridiculous. And I'm not afraid to play around with new tools, and I'm playing with Gen AI and all that. So but as a business owner, when your revenue is mostly recurring, and mine is about 60% recurring revenue and 40% fixed fees that are being paid for from those subscribing clients, right? With 60% of my firm revenue being recurring, not reoccurring, recurring, I am able to easily predict and project my firm finances. And so I know what I could pay myself every month. And I'll be switching over from single member pass-through taxation as an LLC to S corp, and I'll pay myself a salary.
Yes, we love
so I'm going to
that.
finally be able to do that for when I'm done with my third year and going into my fourth year. I'm going to do that. My CPAs have been wanting me to do that, so I'm finally going to do that. But now, because I'm subscription based, I know what I could pay myself every month. I know what my outgoing subscription is. I keep track of my tech stack. I could tell you it's 43 tools, because I look at what is my outgoing monthly spend versus what is my incoming monthly spend. And my outgoing, I also include now what I'm paying myself every month. So I can make sure I'm always in the positive. I can make sure I'm building up that war chest. So if I do lose a big client, that I can continue to pay myself and pay all my expenses while I send another client up the subscription, stack, or up, bring in more clients, right, at that level. So that is really nice as a business owner. And because all my expenses and revenue are more or less recurring or very, very predictable with the fixed fee stuff. The client comes in, hey, I need this 3-page contract reviewed, right? When it comes to categorizing my finances, I use Wave app. It's just free. It integrates with all my stuff.
Yes, I love Wave.
And it uses AI to anticipate what the categories are based on past history and stuff. So I spend 15 minutes a week, not even, categorizing all my stuff in Wave. So managing the financial stuff becomes much, much easier. I have to imagine it gets more complicated when you start bringing in employees, which I have zero intention to do. But a lot of law firms I talk to that want to do this, they already have employees, or they want to hire even just operations folks or a virtual assistant or other things. So I'm able to manage all that right now, but I don't necessarily plan on managing that forever. I plan on outsourcing some things even to fractional, independent contractors at some point in the future, right? But it's just so easy to manage all of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So there's so much here I just want to dive into. The financial stability is huge, and so many law firms are running incredibly risky operations. They're a moment away from bankruptcy, and they don't realize it. They may be making millions of dollars a year, but they're one bad month away from bankruptcy because they have no liquidity. They don't have any recurring revenue, and it's just a risky operation. I'm reading Mike Morse's book, Fireproof, right now. So good. And in the foreword, and Mike, if you're listening, would love to have you on the show. In the foreword, he talks about he was making great money, but he felt like his firm was a house of cards ready to implode. And so many law firm owners are in that situation. So the financial stability is huge. It's so critically important. There's another thing. We talked about this, I think, when we first met. Recurring revenue is, number one, it's a huge growth driver because all you have to do is sign up new subscribers and you're growing revenue. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. And I just love that. But even more importantly, if we think of long term, you're creating relationships that you own, that your business owns, right? Your business owns these client relationships, these subscriptions. These are contracts with your firm, right? That are recurring. And recurring revenue is one of the top value drivers of businesses, right? If you are just billable hours and it's just you don't have a business you can sell. Your business is worth nothing. A lot of law firms are worth nothing because there's no entity, right? But if you have recurring revenue, that is something in the financial world we can model that, we can forecast that. We can do present value analysis on that. We can determine a value of that. That's an extremely valuable piece if you're thinking long term about potentially selling your practice. So I just love that. I think it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why my firm is not Matthew Kerbus PLLC. It's Subscription Attorney LLC,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a brand. I'm building a brand.
Yes.
And to be fair too, like I would have to have probably full-time employees if I wanted to sell my business, right? Like I cannot just sell a solo practice unless I sold it to another solo practitioner, maybe. Right. So it also increases the value of the business if you have a brand name, recurring revenue, but also people and processes in place that when you plug yourself out of the equation, it still operates. And I couldn't do that right now because it's literally just me.
Right. Well, it could be done, Matthew. It just had to be done slowly.
Sure. Yeah.
But yes, it is an interesting thing to think about. If someone wants to maybe start thinking about implementing this in their practice, where is the first place they should start?
They should definitely go to www.lawsubscribed.com, which is my podcast, which, we're recording this. I don't know if you like to reveal behind the curtain things, but from when we are recording this, about a week and a half, your episode will be there on that podcast stream. But we did live stream our conversation on LinkedIn. And if folks want to go see some of the content I'm posting on LinkedIn, you'll also see highlighted my conversation with Darren over there to go check that out. But Law Subscribed, I started that podcast because I was having these conversations with 2 or 3 lawyers who had been quoted in an article in the ABA from years ago about using the subscription model. I was like, wow, I would benefit from some resources here. So I have a lot of free resources at lawsubscribe.com. I've done a lot of CLEs. If you're watching this or you find me, you can search The Subscription Attorney on LinkedIn and connect with me. But if you go to matthewkerbus.com, this and all my past speaking engagements, I talk at length about the subscription model and how I do it. I also have some other CLEs that are out there. I think maybe I want to say episode 52 of my podcast, which is also at matthewkerbus.com, is an old CLE from a couple of years ago. And very soon I'll have a newer CLE up on my podcast feed about specifically how AI is revolutionizing it, which we just talked about a little bit today.
Yeah.
And I've given CLE talks on a lot of platforms, but Lawline seems to really have a good handle on things. So I've given 4 talks for Lawline. One of them is also podcasting for lawyers. So if you're listening to this and you think you want to get into podcasting,
cool.
I have a podcasting for lawyers CLE out there. And so I have a lot of material out there. And also if you want to DM me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to share the deck with anybody who wants to get that deck. I literally have 70 slides, and most of them are here's all the tech that you could go and play around with and try out to see if it works for the type of practice you have or want to have. I do have 2 sponsors of my podcast, and I do highly recommend them, but they may not be a good fit for your firm. So in my CLE deck, I have all the different types of tools that you could try out and might work, and you're not going to find a lot of legal tech on there. That's just sort of the reality of it. Look, I do have a seminar called Subscription Seminar at subscriptionseminar.com. It's essentially one-on-one consulting where I help you improve on or launch your subscription law firm. But realistically, the wait list is getting longer and longer. I'm trying to find a way to productize or do cohort-based coaching on that, because I am a practicing attorney first who has a podcast already. So like, I only started coaching because after doing enough CLEs, lawyers were like, I will pay you to teach me how to do this. So I was like, okay, I'll come up with a program. But realistically, there is way more demand than I could possibly do. And the value of me teaching lawyers how to do it is I'm doing it every day in my practice, right? It's like, I don't want to give that up and just become an attorney coach. So I'm just really just doing one at a time right now. And you can see on the website, like programs are 5 months, 10 months, or 5 weeks, right? So like, it's tough to get through that list, but I am getting through that list one by one. Yeah.
Great. Well, you're in high demand, Matthew. Well, thanks for coming on the show and sharing your expertise with us. I imagine this is going to generate a lot of great conversations. So thank you so much, Matthew.
Thank you for having me.
A big thank you to Matthew Kerbus for sharing his insights today. If you want to learn more about Matthew and his work, visit his website. You can also find his contact info and all the details in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. Subscription-based models can not only provide predictability, happier clients, and a better work-life balance for you, it can also be a key driver of your firm's enterprise value and your wealth. At the Lawyer Millionaire, we're here to help you build a business that not only thrives, but supports your long-term wealth and personal financial goals. Shifting to a subscription model could free up more time for strategic growth, allow you to build more predictable revenue, and create a stronger foundation for wealth building. Schedule a call with me today, and I'll walk you through our 3-step process for turning your law firm into a profitable, valuable, and saleable asset. You can find the link in the show notes. This has been the Lawyer Millionaire podcast. I'm your host, Darren Wartz, here to help you expand your business, maximize your profits, and grow your wealth. Thank you so much for listening. Come back and join me next time.